Hey, what up? This is Zach Guilford from Midnight Mass, and you're listening to one of my favorite podcasts, Pop Culture Pastor.
Pop Culture Pastor.
So, Cody, the new Superman suit was in pictures again on the internets, and the internets went wild.
I did too.
It has some weird pockets and stuff in it, but also I don't think people are looking at the pictures the right way.
How so?
Well, okay, so it's the same suit that he was wearing in the picture that James Gunn already released, right? The lines are in the same place. You could tell it's the same suit, but it's clearly a suit that they're going to manipulate somehow with effects, because in the picture that James Gunn released, the official release, the texture of the suit looked different. Whereas the suit he's wearing in the just candid back behind the scenes pictures looks very fabricy and cushiony, and it's got folds in weird places because it looks like pajamas, sort of. And I don't think people are understanding, like, yeah, that's not the way it's going to look. It's just, these days with CGI.
I'm not going to lie. I love the look of it.
You love the look of it in the back scene pictures?
Yes. The weird, like, drone shots. Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird.
The colors are good. The logo on the back of the cape, legit.
Oh, yeah. The design of it, I'm fine with. I think it looks kind of frumpy to people. And what I'm trying to say is, yeah, that's not the way it's going to look in the finished product.
I'm hoping they keep the look of it because it looks retro to me.
Yeah. I would invite everyone to look back at the picture, the one where he's like putting on his boot.
Okay.
If you look back at that picture, you will get what that suit will look like in a post-production sort of way.
Yeah. No, I have no qualms or issues with it.
You're good if he just walks out in underoos. Like full one-piece body pajamas.
That's basically what Spider-Man does.
No, but it looks cool, though.
You look at what Tom Holland wears in the pre-production.
Right. That's what I'm
pajamas.
saying. Cody, not everything's an argument. That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying pajamas.
Welcome. Hi, this is Pajamas Culture Pastor. No, this is Pop Culture Pastor, the podcast. My name's Dave. Cody's apparently here.
Yes. Ready to go.
I'm not going to lie, Cody. This might be our best episode ever.
You are so optimistic, and I'm here for it.
I am. I think this might be our best episode ever for such a weird main topic, too. We're kind of doing one of those out there sort of, but nostalgic.
Potentially.
Type main topics. And this first segment is we're going to do a few news articles like we always do. And then I'm very excited. We've got a new game we're debuting today.
Oh.
So a game, and you all can play along as you listen. Cody's going to play today as we're just trying to iron out the wrinkles.
Okay, so you can see my shortcomings.
And then one day when we have guests, someday, somehow, we'll make them play the game, maybe even against Cody.
And then they will realize I was a shark all along.
We'll do like a Stump the Schwab type thing. Yeah. So we'll do that. But I think this might be our best episode ever. So let's just get to it, shall we?
Okay, let's name it and claim it.
Yeah. Scarlett Johansson.
Friend
you know
of
her?
the pod.
Friend of the pod. I wish. That would be nice. Hey, ScarJo. What's happening?
She does not like that nickname.
She doesn't.
No.
Well, we would never call her that. That's the only reason I brought it up.
Exactly.
This is from Variety. Scarlett Johansson confirmed to comicbook.com that she is, in fact, headlining the next Jurassic World movie, which is being directed by Rogue One and Godzilla filmmaker Gareth Edwards from a script penned by David Koepp. Now, we've actually talked about this movie indirectly already.
We have.
Because Glenn...
Not Howerton, but Powell.
People often get those two confused. Glenn Powell, we brought up that he brought it up in an interview and said,
It was the best script ever.
He had a weird excuse, remember?
That he could not add anything to it.
He couldn't add anything to it, so he didn't accept it. But he said he did, as a side, mention it was an amazing script, to which we called
shenanigans.
We were like, no way. Well, let me go on. And this Scarlett Johansson interview, David Koepp, who's the screenwriter, returning to the dinosaur franchise after having penned the original Jurassic Park back in 1993. Good. And The Lost World, Jurassic Park in 1997.
Not so good.
No. But Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
She doesn't like that nickname. Cody, quit saying that. Said, quote, "The script is so incredible." She actually goes on about it for quite a while. Just superlatives about how amazing the script is for this fourth Jurassic World movie. And it'll be an entirely new story that's separate from the first Jurassic World trilogy. Cody, I gotta say, this is giving me the Flash vibes. Remember when everybody was like, oh, The Flash might be the best comic book movie ever?
There was a discussion on X that I commented on about The Flash because it was like the anniversary of it coming out. And I said it might have one of the best comic book movie scenes.
Which one?
At the end between the Flash and his mom, where she hugs him.
That is a very affecting scene.
Very affecting, but yet it had some of the weirdest choices and graphics in comic book history, movie history as well. Mm-hmm. They went all out. I don't know if that was a good thing or not, but they went all out. I did read a rumor about this movie. It sounded basically like Lara Croft Tomb Raider meets Jurassic Park, but an abandoned Jurassic Park. Oh. And I'm like, okay, you have me intrigued now. Now, I don't know if that is legit because people are spreading a whole bunch of rumors about like what it could be because Scarlett Johansson's the second big name to say the script is so amazing, where the first Jurassic World felt like the first Jurassic Park. And it was like, okay, you really did nothing, but you just reintroduced new characters, and this formula works for at least one movie.
So what do you think they're talking about there? Are we talking about like, Titanic? It's been 84 years, and someone goes back to, like it's in the future, and someone goes back to the island because there's the historical lesson of the story, but then they go back and there's still dinosaurs there. Like something like that, or
I wonder if there might be some historical significance to one of the islands that have been abandoned, and while there they encounter dinosaurs.
Oh,
or if they're trying to be like B.J. Wong and steal some dino DNA and do a startup company. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. I can spread rumors as well as the next guy.
Well, just as long as Glenn Powell's not in them, because he's definitely not in it. Speaking of allegedly great scripts,
Citizen Kane.
From the very same interview with comicbook.com.
Oh.
Because they were interviewing not just Scarlett Johansson, but Channing Tatum. Because apparently they're in a movie together and they're on press tour.
Oh.
Fly Me to the Moon is the movie they're doing together. They start asking Channing Tatum questions, and he addressed the long-rumored third movie in the 21 Jump Street series.
Which friend of the show and geek of the round table, Jackson Chauncey, has been asking for.
I mean, if we're being honest, those movies were enjoyable. They were funny.
They were fun. They were popcorn flicks.
Oh, yeah.
So if they stop, I'm good. And if they continue, it's like, if there's nothing else going on, I'll watch it.
He said this, there's a project that was written, and it's still the best script I've ever read for a third movie. Now, there's a weird little qualification at the end, because best script I've ever read for a third movie. I'm like, well, how many third movies has he read for? Clearly Magic Mike was one of them. So he's just throwing Magic Mike under the bus.
Did you read for Return of the King?
No, I don't think they asked Channing Tatum to be in Middle Earth.
Or the third Harry Potter? Like, I don't know.
The specifics of what the planned third Jump Street movie would entail came in an unprecedented way. So do you remember any of this? Because I actually remember these weird rumors that were surrounding this movie. Back in late 2014, Sony Pictures was subject to a company-wide data breach after a hacker group leaked private emails.
They got to your PlayStation. I remember that.
Yeah, so this is all from this comicbook.com article, by the way. Within those exposed emails, industry-changing conversations were revealed, including plans to bring Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which turned out to be true, concept of an animated Miles Morales film, which turned out to be true, and then this one, which so far has not, the 23 Jump Street, and crossed over because it was crossing over with another film franchise. This isn't ringing a bell to you?
I read the article, but it was never on my radar back in 2014.
So the thing that was in these hacked emails was that they were working to cross over a third 21 Jump Street movie with the Men in Black. You can say something.
What is not common known information with the Men in Black? It's a comic book franchise.
Oh, I knew that, yeah.
Shockingly, 21 Jump Street was not a comic book franchise.
No. So you're saying you're not up for a mashup here?
No.
That does not interest you at all?
You might as well mash up with the Fast and Furious franchise.
Oh, the Fast and Furious has talked about it.
Well, I know they're wanting to mash up with everyone.
Wasn't it on this very show? We talked about a rumor where Fast and Furious wanted to mash up with Jurassic Park?
And again, it's the Fast and Furious franchise that should be begging, not you.
I think it's at least interesting. I guess the idea would be you have the two idiots from 21 Jump Street go into the organization of the Men in Black, I suppose.
Or the Men in Black are chasing an alien that happens to be a perp of the 21 Jump Street crew, and they have to collaborate, and then they get their minds wiped at the end.
I'm probably not interested unless Will Smith's coming back. I'm not down with the new Chris Hemsworth one.
Yeah, Will Smith would have to be in it.
Well, there have been rumors of these weird movie franchise crossovers in the last couple of years, including that Fast Furious Jurassic Park mashup. We should probably do a pod episode on what movie franchises would make good mashups. I don't know that there's that many.
Hairspray and the Joker. Because they're basically doing that with Joker Part 2.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work.
It's going to be great.
Right.
I've already purchased all my tickets.
Lastly, this is from Deadline. The Hallmark Channel making news today. On this day, as we're recording.
As they do.
They're teaming up with the Kansas City Chiefs.
As they should.
This is a weird mashup. The Kansas City Chiefs and Hallmark teaming up to make Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story.
This brings tears to my eyes.
I couldn't believe it when I was reading the synopsis and realized it had nothing to do with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Like, just change the names and make up a story that goes along with it.
No, that would be too easy, Dave.
Too easy, and everybody would watch it. Everybody.
It's not how we roll.
I'm just saying it's a miss. I feel like that was an easy hit, and they messed it up.
If Hallmark was to make a movie with a team, it was going to be the Chiefs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's smart. Everything up to the story, I was like, yeah. Wait, what? Travis Kelce at least has the cameo in this, right? Maybe a little Pat Mahomes.
No, you don't get Pat.
No cameos?
You might get Harrison Butker.
Oh, no.
I could see Travis doing it with a wink and a nod and him just literally saying one line and walking through a scene.
This is amazing. There's already a summary blurb. They already have a blurb. You ready for this?
I am.
Let me get my blurb voice reading. Wait, my blurb reading voice going. Okay, you ready? In Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story, Alana Higman is sure that her family's lifelong history as Kansas City Chiefs superfans makes them a frontrunner to win the team's Fan of the Year contest. Derek, director of fan engagement, is tasked with evaluating how Alana and her family stack up against the other two finalists. As the pair spend time together, it's clear there's a spark between them. But when her grandfather's vintage Chiefs good luck winter hat goes missing, Alana begins to doubt everything she believed about fate and destiny, even questions her future with Derek, unless that is, a little Christmas magic can throw a Hail Mary. I'm in.
There's some unethical guidelines happening here. This Derek guy is one of the people overseeing the contest, and he's like, oh, I'm going to date this girl who's in the running for the contest. You're disqualified, lady.
Yeah, I mean, it seems wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But so much about Hallmark often does.
Well, I disqualified her.
So I don't even know these people that are in this movie except for one. The Tyler Hines is Derek. He's apparently been in Shifting Gears and 3 Wise Men and a Baby. Which sounds like a Hallmark movie.
Is he heir to the Hines fortune?
No, it's not spelled like that.
Oh, well, that's a bummer for him.
Hunter King, who plays Alana, she's been in 2 Scoops of Italy and the Santa Summit, which also sound like Hallmark movies. And obviously, I have no idea who these people are. But get this. Her grandpa that loses his lucky Chiefs hat, Ed Begley Jr.
Hey!
We got Ed! Nuts. This is nuts. And I cannot wait to watch it. It's going to be so much fun. We might have to review that one this Christmas.
That might be the first and only Hallmark movie we review on this podcast.
Oh, man. I'm already looking forward to it. It'd be so fun. It's going to be so bad. It's going to be like, it's like you're getting on a carnival ride. You're like, oh, this is going to suck. Strap in. It's going to be great.
I'm going to be sick.
Are the Chiefs America's team now?
No.
No?
I do think that it is not the Cowboys. I think that it's right now cool to hate the Chiefs.
It's Jets, isn't it? Everyone loves Aaron Rodgers.
Shockingly, it's not Rodgers. It probably is the Packers or 49ers. It's probably one of the NFC like golden teams.
Aaron Rodgers might be the only person they hate more than Harry Butker.
It's a toss-up some days.
Yeah. Anyways. Okay. That's the news. Everyone sit tight. This is going to be amazing. When we come back, the first ever game on Pop Culture Passion. I don't even know what we're going to name this yet. Maybe the Rotten Tomatoes game. I feel weird giving them all the credit, but we are using like a game that is based on their website as the base of the game. We'll figure it out, but it's a game, and Cody's going to play it when we come back.
You are listening to Pop Culture Pastor.
All right, Cody, we're back. It's the movie game.
Or what's that smell?
No, I don't think that's a good name.
It has a song.
It has a song?
From like the 70s or 80s.
I was trying to think of a song for like a good song for our game show, basically, here in the middle of our pod. And all I could think of was dun, 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 but it's already been used.
Can't do it. Won't do it.
So, yes, it's time. Basically, here's what we're going to do, Cody. This uses the profile for movies from Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
All right. So basically on a profile for any movie on Rotten Tomatoes, they have obviously the name of the movie, the tomato score, which is the critics' consensus score. It has the audience score. which is the consensus from audiences. Then they have the top 2 billed actors and the blurb, right? The little summary.
So does the blurb have the year the movie came out?
Oh, yeah. The year's out in there too. Okay. I'm sorry. So here's what we're going to do. There's levels. And what you're trying to do is you want to be able to get the movie on level 1, which is going to be impossible. Because you're going to have to do that from the tomato score.
Lucky for me, I have half of the tomato scores memorized.
Yeah. So level 1 will be if you can just get the movie from the tomato score. Level 2, that's the next thing you will get is the second billed name.
Oh, woof.
Number 3 will be the audience score. Number 4 will be the year.
Oh, my goodness.
And level 5 will be the blurb. So by level 5, you definitely want to be able to get it, because if you can't get it by level 5, you don't get to play anymore.
You're a jabroni.
And so what I'm going to do is I have 3 profiles in front of me. And we've separated all the Rotten Tomatoes profiles we've separated them all into 3 categories. The terrible movies, according to tomato score, the mediocre movies, according to tomato score, and the good movies. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to read you 3 tomato scores, and then you're going to pick the one you think you want to try and guess.
Okay.
Okay. So in my hand, I'm holding a 100% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oof.
Which, that's something. That's really good. I'm holding a 54% Rotten Tomato score, and I'm holding a 24% Rotten Tomato score. Which one would you like to try and pick? You'd like to try and solve?
Let's go big. 100%.
Yeah, that's basically seems like it would be the good route.
I really feel that the one that's close to 50%, based off the second actor, I might be able to get a lot quicker, but we'll risk it for the biscuit.
I don't know, man. This one might be, well, okay, first of all, it's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you have a guess for level 1?
La La Land.
That is incorrect.
What?
Cody's done with the game. I mean, it's a solid guess, bro. I have no idea if La La Land got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's a solid guess.
It was the best I could do with the information I had.
Listen, someday someone's going to guess right on this one, and they're going to be the record holder for all times on the Pop Culture Pastor movie game.
Oh.
Via Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, no, that is incorrect. You will now get, and this one, this might be a record for a while, because I think you have a good shot of getting this.
Oh, crud. The pressure's on.
The second billed name of this 100% tomato fresh movie on Rotten Tomatoes, Linda Hamilton.
Is it Terminator?
It is the Terminator!
Yeah!
That's incredible!
It's happening!
You got it on the second level.
So, I'm not going to lie. I nearly guessed Avatar on the first one. I was thinking the wrong James Cameron flick.
Yeah.
JC knows it.
All right. Let's go through the other ones.
Okay.
Just because that didn't last too long.
Yeah, I really feel the 50-50 might be my cup of tea.
And I want us to get into a rhythm for this game.
Okay.
And I think the listeners might like it.
Okay.
All right. This one, 54% on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you have a guess?
Thor: Love and Thunder.
If that's at 54%, it actually might be, huh? It might be close. That's not
I
what
think
they're looking
it's
for here.
68%.
The second build name here for level 2, Elle Fanning.
Oh.
Elle Fanning.
And so, is it that Tom Cruise movie? Elle did a Tom Cruise movie.
Clearly, we're going to need some music. Because I had not considered the dead air.
Yes. This is atrocious.
Cody is thinking. Elle Fanning, what Tom Cruise movie are you thinking of? Was she in a Tom Cruise movie?
I think
Dakota
so.
was in one with Tom.
Okay, I might be thinking of Dakota. So Elle and Dakota overlap for me, even though Dakota's older. So
That's a weird thing.
yeah,
They don't look anything alike, in my opinion.
they look like sisters.
No, I think Elle was adopted. I'm kidding.
Minority Report.
It is not Minority Report. We go to level 3, which is the audience score.
Oh, great.
70%. So it goes up. The audience score is up there. Do you have a guess?
I really don't know my Elle Fanning movies, so I'm failing. Forrest Gump.
Level 4 is the year 2014. 10 years ago.
Okay.
So you've got a 54% Rotten Tomato score. Elle Fanning is the second billed actor in it. 70% audience score in 2014.
So she would have been a kid.
I think these middle ones are going to be tougher.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Secondhand Lions.
No, that's a good guess though. I don't
Wrong
think there's
kid.
I don't think there are any Fannings in that. But finally, here is the blurb. And I like this because I get to read it in my blurb voice. After a devastating betrayal at the hands of a king-to-be, a powerful fairy sorceress curses his daughter, only to realize the girl is the only one who can bring peace to the realm. Oh, he's stuck. He is clueless.
Tangled.
He fails. The answer is Maleficent.
Oh, I never watched that, so that's why I really...
Wait a minute. I should have. There's a level 6. I should have given, if I would have given you Angelina Jolie.
That would have been the thing that would have got me over, because I would have been like,
we'll
kid and Angie Jolie. And I definitely didn't watch that movie.
My bad. I should have given you that. We're working the kinks out of the game. That's why we're doing this. This is practice. All right. Now your 24% movie. Okay, I'm going to change the way we're doing this already. See, this is a good way for us to get the kinks out.
Oh, well, I'm still going with Ed Wood.
I think level 1 will be the year.
Okay.
If I give you the 24% and the year, that's level 1. Okay? So it's 2003. The tomato meter is 24%. So it's still 5 levels, but the 5th level will be the top billed actor.
Okay.
Okay? So 24%, level 1, you get the year 2003.
Oh, there was some trash that came out then.
Clearly, this was one of them. Not a good movie, according to the critics. Only 24%. Just under 1 out of every 4 critics said this movie is trash.
Transformers.
Is Transformers that old? 2003 is too far back, but that's okay. No, that's incorrect.
I feel Transformers is around that time.
Is it really? You might be right.
And Elle Fanning was in War of the Worlds with Dakota, but she was probably like an extra.
Nice reach. Okay, level 2, you're going to get the second billed actor in the movie.
Okay.
That's 24%. Came out in 2003. The second billed actor, Bonnie Hunt. Bonnie Hunt.
Oh.
Yeah, right? Like, so Bonnie Hunt's got second billing. That tells you a lot, actually. No disrespect to Bonnie Hunt, but that there's no one else in the movie that's as big as Bonnie?
What was that movie with the 2 ladies that ran off?
Oh, he's piecing something together.
Was 13 in the title?
The wheels in his brain.
I'm going
the
with
2 ladies that ran off. You talking about Thelma and Louise?
No.
No?
I can see it. It's an indie movie, I feel.
Oh, okay.
We're going with 17 instead of 13. I'll just name a number.
This is not an indie movie. I'll just give you that now.
Okay, well, then
so
I'm
that is
off.
incorrect. So level 2 is done. Now you will get the audience score. So we have a 24% tomato score, critic consensus, came out in 2003. Second billed actors, Bonnie Hunt. The audience score, 56%. So audiences say it's meh.
Okay.
Critics say it's trash. Audience say it's meh.
I have to think about my Bonnie Hunt
And Bonnie Hunt's in it.
fandom. It's very limited.
That's Bonnie Hunt slander.
It is.
I don't know why we went there. No, he's got nothing.
Oh, well, did you read the next clue?
Okay. I wanted to give you time. You're passing on your pick?
No.
For the audience score, 56%.
Oh, okay. So the audience score is 56%.
So level 1, level 2. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I will pass because I'm just making stuff up at
level
this moment.
1 is the year and the tomato
Yes.
score. Level 2 is the second billed actor. And then level 3, 56% audience score. And
Skip
he's got
it.
nothing. This moves us to level 4.
Just know I'm guessing Star Wars if it was the 56%.
Here is the blurb. Are
Okay.
you ready? I can't decide if I want the top billed actor to be the last level or the blurb. Which do you think's easier?
It depends on who the top billed actor is, honestly.
It might be the top billed actor. The blurb might give it away. So maybe level 4 needs to be the top billed actor.
Okay, so give me the top billed actor.
Okay.
Or
But then I
thespian.
never get to read the blurb because
If it's no one I've heard of, then
Okay.
because Bonnie Hunt,
you've heard of him. You've heard of him. The top billed actor on level 4 is Steve Martin.
Oh,
Steve Martin. Bonnie
cheaper
Hunt.
by the dozen.
It is cheaper by the dozen.
I'm embarrassed. Sorry, Bonnie Hunt.
When his wife is out of town, a father of 12 must juggle the demands of his new job and the needs of his children. I believe this also stars one Tom Welling from Smallville.
Okay, he didn't make second billing.
Okay, we're still working through the kinks.
Okay, so what we've learned is it's a lot easier if the second billed actor is someone that Cody has a good knowledge of what movies they've been in.
So I'm going to get my pad of paper out. We're going to write down the rules right now before we move on. We're not going to record this. Don't worry. We're not going
you're
to make you
welcome.
sit through this. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the main subject for this pod, our favorite fads. When we come back. Okay, we've already got major drama with the movie game. As Cody's already like, well, that's the record, right? Because the record's level 2, and I'm like, no, that was just a provisional. We're just testing it out. We're ironing out the kinks. That wasn't an official played game.
Cody will have an asterisk right next to that record, baby. I do owe an apology. Transformers was 07. I thought it was earlier in my high school career and not at the end of it.
It's so crazy to hear you say that's during your high school career.
Yep.
I am really old.
And I honestly could have seen it having a really low Rotten Tomatoes score.
I don't think anything's going to prove my oldness than this subject we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
Because we're about to talk about our favorite fads, and that's something that can really date you. We could do another game where we just listed off our favorite fads, and you would probably be able to guess our age range with our favorite fads.
This subject might also bring out the most controversial take in the history of the show.
That's a claim.
I'll save it for the end.
Okay, I'm a little nervous. You're going to save it for the end.
The very end.
The most controversial take in the history of Pop Culture Pastor.
Yep. I might get excommunicated from the Geeks group on Facebook.
Whoa.
Yeah.
By the way, if you haven't joined the Pop Culture Pastor community group on Facebook, you should do that because you can follow our page. But if you want more interactivity with us and with other geeks, then you should join the community group. Just look up Pop Culture Pastor community and you'll find it. Then you can add to the conversation too. People post like pop culture memes and stuff. It's a good time.
Memes.
Is that how you say it?
That's how the Utes say it.
That's how, well, if you want to be wrong, that's fine. Next thing you're going to tell me is it's GIFs.
It definitely is GIF because moms like you choose GIF.
Sometimes I think you just live to frustrate me. All right. So what is a fad? I think we need to define fads because there is a difference between fads and trends. It's sort of like talking about cults and religious groups, right? Whereas a cult is bigger than a sect.
Okay.
So it's got a little power, it's got a little momentum behind it, but it's still not, usually the difference is numbers, first of all, but numbers take time. There's a longevity to it. So it's the same with fads and trends. You see, I'm probably the only person that's going to compare this to cults and real religions.
I am amazed with your comparison analogy there. But
This is from Claire Liang, who I found on LinkedIn. I don't know why.
best friend of the pod.
I don't know why she's an expert, but she wrote all about fads. And she says this. I think she's in fashion. Fads explode, but fade. Okay. Trends grow and last. So again, there's a longevity.
Okay.
Most of the so-called trends, she says, are actually fads. The media is forced / incentivized / unaware of framing fads as trends. She says the media didn't know what they're talking about.
I agree.
And then she says fads still have value, but machines can chase them better than humans. I don't even know what that means. That must be an AI thing.
Allen Iverson.
That's the guy. That's the guy. Not artificial intelligence. It's the answer. Allen Iverson. Okay, so a fad, something that explodes but quickly fades.
Okay.
So hit me with your first favorite fad.
Tamagotchis.
Oh, I remember those.
I had 2 Tamagotchis.
Okay, now for the uninitiated, remember we have people of all
Yes.
ages listening to this podcast.
I
vaguely remember this. This is like the little game thing that was like
Yes.
taking care of a pet.
They had different ones that it's a handheld device in like the late 90s. And you had to feed, water, bathe, and clean up after this pet and keep it alive.
Listen, I'm just going to say, parents, you have no right to diss your kids now playing video games if you owned a Tamagotchi and were playing chore video games. Those are chores.
Kind of like Farmville.
Yeah, but all the people playing Farmville are old people. Sorry, old people. There's just, that was
I
a joke.
don't know if that's still going. I assume it is somewhere.
Oh, there's still a version of it, I'm sure. And someone's out there playing it religiously.
I'm rooting for you, buddy. So it had a key ring attachment to it, and you would put it on your backpack, and then you take it to school, and then you try not to get in trouble for having it out. So then you would pull it out during recess, and you would take care of your animals and hope that they did not die in the meantime.
Wait, so your Tamagotchi pet could die?
Oh, yes. I don't know how many funerals we had. Numerous.
So what year does this come out? Because I remember these, but I'm definitely too old to be in on the Tamagotchi revolution.
1996.
Wow.
And they pick up steam probably in 97, 98, and then die out.
Okay. So I'm 2 years out of high school at this point. Although I thought about them. I knew about them. And I thought, what's that like? Sounds like doing chores.
It was, but as someone who was in early grade school, experiencing the first championship of Michael Jordan's second three-peat, I was all about this.
While taking care of your Tamagotchi pet. Did
Yeah.
you do it at the same time while you were watching the game?
I definitely did the next season.
Wow.
So-
Interesting. For what it's worth, I do remember playing Farmville for a few weeks.
I was going to say, when Facebook starts blowing up off the coast and like makes it inland to the middle of America, people are playing Farmville.
Side note, how much does Facebook owe to its explosion to Farmville and those weird games?
Maybe everything.
Because I'm thinking at the time they got nobody. The only people they were getting over the age of what, 25, were like Farmville players. All the old people that are on Facebook now, which I'm one of. I'm old, by the way. Don't be insulted because I include myself in that group. Because Facebook was a college social media website when it first started. Like you had to have an EDU email.
I did not by the time it makes its way to here.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. We can go back to, did you have anything else you want to say about Tamagotchis?
It is mentioned in a show that I will call Schlitz Creek.
Skahits Creek.
Yeah.
We call it Skahitz Creek. Schlitz is a beer. That's a no-go.
YOLO. But yeah, David yells at his sister because he trusted her with his Tamagotchis and they all died.
I'm really interested to hear the listeners. Who of our listeners had Tamagotchis? I'm already formulating in my head an idea of which listeners I think had Tamagotchis.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear this. What's your next one?
Okay, so I wanted to mention one that was forced upon me, and it was forced upon me by the school district that I went to school in.
Oh, what? Okay.
It was bananas.
It wasn't Michelle Obama's sweet potato tots, was it?
No, I was out of school by then.
Oh, good for you.
Oh, this was the worst thing in the world when I was in middle school. Because, like, not only did they force you to do it in your homeroom, but then they would have competitions and they'd have you competing against other people in the gym.
Oh, wow. I am at a loss here.
Cup stacking.
Oh, was that
competitive cup stacking?
That was a thing?
That was a thing. And I think if you went to school in the aughts, you had to do cup stacking. And you would have to do like 2 towers on the sides that were smaller than one big one in the middle. And then you had to slam them down and stack them real fast. And
what's the point of that? I am mystified by this.
I assume that they were trying to work on hand-eye coordination and pattern development within your brain, because there's a quick way to do it and there's a super slow way. And if you are not quick, then you get embarrassed. Okay. It's like the Fast and Furious. If you're Dominic Toretto, and then you introduce someone that pulls up in their jalopy 1996 Dodge Neon, and yeah, it's embarrassing.
So where does family come into this?
You don't have family if you are slow at cup stacking.
There is no family in cup stacking. It's too competitive.
It is.
I thought schools were moving away from competitive stuff.
Like, not then.
Not then? Because that seems like it would be prime for embarrassment.
Exactly. Although then you would call the person that was super competitive about cup stacking a dweeb because you're stacking cups.
Yeah, exactly. If I was one of the kids that had to do this and got a slow time, and someone was like, "Huh, you didn't stack cups very fast," I'd be like, "Well, that's okay because it's stacking cups. None of you are going to make a career off of stacking cups."
They were fluorescent colored. So, like, you would get, like, these bright neon green or highlighter yellow, and then they had, like, red and orange. But, yeah, they had multiple cup stacking stacks for each classroom.
That's wild.
We were throwing money away left and right on cups.
That's wild. I missed out on that fad completely.
You're lucky.
Okay. What's the next one? I'm so excited to hear the listeners go, yes, I had to stack cups too. I'm scarred for life.
Okay, so I'm going to include one more before I get to the big one. So the next one is painted rocks. That was a big fad in my early case management days. Right after I started working at the mental health center, this fad of painted rocks like explodes, and people would hide rocks, and they'd find rocks, and they'd move rocks, and they'd paint more rocks. And
you'd find them out in the wild, right? They would hide them in places.
Yes. And then you hope that someone's lawnmower doesn't hit them.
Yeah, my kids do this occasionally. Still, my kids are not cool, so it's probably was a fad.
So, like, it was so big, there was several Facebook groups for it, including a Chanute one, which we live in a small town called Chanute, Kansas, that, like, everyone and their mom was posting, like, try to find this one. And now, like, you get 2 posts a year from it.
When you find one, you post it. You post a picture.
It's kind of like geocaching. But I actually enjoy geocaching a lot more. And I think it's still going, where the rocks is very minimal.
What do you find when geocaching?
So it depends on the cache.
Cash money?
Treasure chest object. So sometimes it's just, can you find this difficult to find capsule? Because sometimes they're really tiny and there's a piece of paper and you sign that you found it and then you log it on the app. But other times they're bigger boxes and there's things that you can trade. There's tradables. So sometimes people put really cool things in there, and then sometimes they're lame and put like rubber bands and pennies.
It's like a family heirloom. Oh, this is my great-great-grandmother's toothbrush. She died of halitosis.
So one time I found a JFK trading card in one of the geocaches. There was a casino like $1 chip in one of them. I still have it, so I'm just holding
Go bet
on.
it all on black. That's what I'm told.
Exactly. And random things. And then you can even have like the tokens. But yes, the painted rocks was a fad. And I had to do it with like every case management kid I had back in the day, because that's what they wanted to talk about and do. And I'm like, well, I guess we can work on learning cooperation and controlling our temper by painting rocks.
I am a fan of the fads that get us out and about.
I am too. It was just like a waste of a lot of paint.
Yeah, I could see that.
Even
but at
if
least it was something. It was constructive. Not like this is going to sound like a diss, but I actually took part in Pokemon Go for a while.
Oh, how dare you? It's still going.
Yeah, but it's not nearly the levels it was. I think it qualifies as a fad.
If it does, then you are justifying what my last one's going to be.
I played Pokemon Go for a few weeks, and I will openly say I had no idea what I was doing other than catching things.
Well, you got to catch them all, Dave.
That's what I'm told. But I didn't know, like, some people are like developing them, and I don't even know how to do any of that. So I lost interest. It's not on my list of favorite fads.
Okay.
Do you have any more?
I have the big one.
The big one. Do you want to save that one? We'll come back
If you
to
want
it.
me to save it, I can save it.
Okay,
Because it will still be there.
I've got a few that that are in depth, but they're not my favorites. So, or at least not as integral to my life. Back in the 80s, Cody, there was this.
I was alive.
I should have known that was coming. I walked right into it. I should have known. Cody is an 80s kid. Back in the early to mid 80s, I think, there was a fad of dolls that the whole conceit was you were adopting. They set it up like you were like actually adopting a child, but it was a doll. And they grew up out of the ground.
I know what you're talking about.
They were called Cabbage Patch Kids.
Oh, I like the Sour Patch Kids more, but
Now, this was not the fad that I was into, but without them, without Cabbage Patch Kids, you would not have gotten to the fad I'm speaking of.
oh, I got my fingers crossed.
Because out of the Cabbage Patch Kid craze, and it was a craze. Like, people went nuts for this. It was one of those where I think there were 2 Christmases where you good luck. You weren't getting a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Sorry.
But out of that craze came some trading cards.
Oh, yep. You're going where I thought you were.
That were a satirical take on the Cabbage Patch Kids called Garbage Pail Kids. And I collected baseball cards and sports cards and pop culture cards. I had like Star Wars cards, and the Tim Burton Batman movie had a card set.
It did.
That I had a whole bunch of. And among these cards, some of my prized possessions were Garbage Pail Kids cards. Schools across the U.S. banned them, Cody. The entire country of Mexico banned them.
Probably a smart move.
Well, I mean, it sounds worse than it is. They had a law in Mexico, apparently, that banned all representations of minors, quote, in a degrading or ridiculous manner. And these were definitely that.
Oh, yeah.
Atom Bomb, Bad Breath Seth, Dead Ted. So essentially they were Cabbage Patch looking kids, but they were all like grotesque in some way. And I mean grotesque in the artsy definition.
Yeah, and also in the literal definition.
Capitalized the grotesque. If you get me if you're into art.
I am.
There was a movie. They made a movie.
Okay, I haven't seen the movie. I've seen the cards.
It has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's regarded as maybe one of the worst movies of all time. I totally saw it when this came out. I wanted to be the first in line. It's like I got to go see that Garbage Pail Kids movie.
Dave was the only one in line.
It definitely earns that 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I need to tuck that one away in case it's a card.
In case it comes up in the game.
0% Garbage Pail Kids.
It cost $1 million to make it. It made $1.6 million. So it made money.
Success.
But it is considered one of the worst movies of all time. But I think that's cool too, because it just kind of adds to the lore of Garbage Pail Kids. If you still have these cards, which this part made me cry, you can get some money for them.
Oh, yeah.
Someone recently sold one for well over $10,000 on eBay. It was an Atom Bomb card from Series 1. There was over like 16 series. Like these went on for quite a while, long after I lost interest. Someone also got over $10,000 for a Nasty Nick, he was dressed up as Dracula. I don't know why he was nasty, but that was just the name they gave him. Probably because it was alliterative.
Yes.
It started with an N, like Nick. So, yeah, I was super into Garbage Pail Kids. There's still rumors, by the way. They still talk about HBO wanted to do like an animated, I read an article about it today, quote, naughty animated series, which I don't know if we need that.
Probably not.
But, yeah, Garbage Pail Kids, I was into them. I had a whole bunch of them. I wish I still had them. They were cool, but they were stickers, so they were cards, and then you could peel it off, and I ended up sticking it on a lot of things.
Pizza Hut back in the day used to sell those with wrestlers from WCW, and I would stick the NWO logo on my bike, and then it would ring.
They had it from that era?
Yes.
Whoa.
So, like, Crow Sting, Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Oh, that's amazing. I need some. Do they still exist out in the wild? They're probably expensive.
Probably $10,000.
Yeah. All right. The next thing on my list is the Walkman.
Oh, yeah.
The Walkman comes out in I think Sony puts it out in 1979, the very earliest version. At first, they're just made for the press, like to record. My grandma used to do this. So my grandma is the first person I remember having a Walkman. So she was from England. She was born in England, but she married an American serviceman and came to the States before my mom was born, but raised their family here. And instead of writing letters, which she did that too, they would write letters. They would record on tapes. They would just talk, and then they would send the tapes back and forth between them, her siblings.
Oh.
Yeah, and she had a Walkman thing. And then, so that's what they're made for recording first. But then eventually they figure out, people like the idea of listening to their music without having to carry a giant boom box on their shoulder. Although some people dug that.
Oh, yeah.
That in itself was a fad. But some people wanted headphones. You could plug it into the headphone jack, wear headphones, and you're walking down the street. And that's where Dave's fandom of the Walkman comes in.
My fandom's with the Discman, but yeah.
We'll get to that. By 1995, 150 million Walkmans had been sold. I absolutely wore out Young MC's Stone Cold Rhymin' in a Walkman. If DJ were here, he'd get excited about that. Stone Cold Rhymin' by Young MC is still one of my favorite albums of all time. By the way, if you're unaware, that is Bust a Move. That's the album Bust a Move's on. That's his well-known song, but they were all good. I remember delivering papers with my Walkman. I had a paper route when I was 12, 13.
This doesn't sound safe.
Well, we did it back then. I know that it's not a thing anymore. You don't see kids delivering papers anymore, but we did.
Well, I wasn't talking about the papers. I'm like, you can't hear if someone's coming up behind you.
I really couldn't hear because I was listening to the Black Album by Metallica a lot when I was delivering papers.
Oh, yeah. You were just hearing screaming.
Later on, as a teenager in high school, I worked at a burger joint and I had to walk to work before I had enough money to buy a car. I can remember with my Walkman listening to the Boomerang soundtrack, Little Boys to Men, End of the Road. Yeah. So I had a lot of mileage with a Walkman. I loved the Walkman. I don't know what I would have done without it, to be honest. Because I walked a lot of places. I just walked all over the place. I was raised by a single mom. And then she got remarried at some point, but it was a step family situation. And it wasn't like the Brady Bunch step family. So I was always trying to get out of the house. And so I walked a lot of places. And my Walkman was always with me. Walkman actually enters the dictionary in 1986. So it's a brand name. But we started referring to everything as a Walkman that played tapes. And then CD sales finally overtook the Walkman in 1991. It was downhill from there. And then Sony comes out with the Discman, which was objectively terrible. Always skipping. Brutal.
If you're not holding that thing flat, it's skipping.
The Discman, I bought one new, and it would work for about a week. And then there was no way you could hold it without it skipping if you were moving at all with it.
Yeah, that was more of you're sitting in your bedroom, you have it on the nightstand, and you are reading or playing video games, but I wasn't playing video games back then.
Yeah. Furthermore, we lost that freedom of, we could make our own tape. You make a mixtape.
Yep.
And so there's a gap there before we get, high-powered enough computers to burn CDs.
And Napster tries to fill that void.
Yeah, but there's a gap between our mixtape / mix CD making. And that was sad because I loved making mixtapes.
I will tell you, I'm old enough to have recorded songs onto a cassette while they're playing on the radio.
Yeah, I did that a lot.
80s kids.
Yeah, that's 80s kids. That's, yeah. I distinctly remember recording Turtle Power. Turtle Power. Off the Hot 8 at 8.
So I recorded Brilliant Disguise by Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, wow. You were artsy.
Always have been, always will be.
I'm a little embarrassed about this fad that I took part in it.
Oh, please say you had the Vanilla Ice haircut.
No, I never did the Vanilla Ice haircut with the grooves or the weird little ridges in the eyebrows. But I did do this one. It is related to rap. In 1990, You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer comes out. And in the video that he's dancing around, because MC Hammer was an amazing dancer. A lot of people don't know this if you're over or under a certain age.
Evidently, within some circles, if you refer to him as an amazing dancer, there might be some beef.
Yeah, apparently, Hammer was apparently a hard dude. But
more hardcore than I.
He's the guy who said, you got to pray just to make it today. And he was too legit to quit. But back before all that, he was the guy that did You Can't Touch This. Took the world by storm. And in this video, he's wearing these modified baggy pants that are tapered at the ankle. So they're baggy, but then they get down to the ankle and they've got the elastic thing so that, they're not falling below your shoes. But there's these hugely baggy pants, and it sagged in the rise area, or to laymen, the people that aren't into fashion, the crotch sagged down. Actually inspired by harem pants. I read that today. I had no idea, and then when I read it, I was like, "Oh yeah,
makes sense."
Which is, it's not good because these took over. I wish I was making this up, Cody. But there was at least a year where everybody is wearing these goofy, baggy pants to school.
Well, as long as it's not the Zubaz pants.
Oh, we're getting there. Because this is the precursor. If these don't happen, Zubaz doesn't happen. But a ton of people were wearing these. And maybe it wasn't everyone, but it makes me feel better if I say everybody was wearing them because I had a pair or two. I can remember the day when I blew out the crotch in my favorite Hammer pants. That was a sad day. It paved the way for Zubaz, which some of you are like, okay, I'm not familiar with Hammer pants. What's Zubaz? So Zubaz pants, they were Hammer pants essentially with tiger stripes in the colors of your favorite sports team. If you go to an NFL game, you might still see an old timer wearing his Zubaz.
I guarantee you will.
They are about the most non-flattering clothing items ever created. They are something else.
I don't even know if they're comfortable or not.
Oh, they're super comfortable. Except you couldn't, like, I tried, so when I blew out the crotch of my Hammer pants, it's because I was playing basketball. You can't do it. It was, you flex your legs or something, and it was like, just blow them right out. Oy vey. I can't believe that was a thing we did, but we did. In 2022, Bobby Brown claimed he started wearing what he called diaper pants. He claimed he started it, and Hammer altered him and made him famous.
Well, it was Hammer then, and not you, jabroni.
But Brown did wear a less sagging variation during some concerts and was seen wearing him in some music videos like My Prerogative, which came out in 1988, 2 years before Hammer. But there was no real comparison. Hammers were way saggier.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely Hammer's style. No one said, oh, we're going with the Bobby Brown right now.
And probably Bobby Brown better be careful trying to take that claim against Hammer, because I've heard Hammer's pretty serious, bro.
I'm still baffled, and I need to talk with DJ.
We need to they need to make a documentary on Hammer, about the real Hammer. Because we would definitely do a What's Up doc on that.
And I also would be live messaging Dave as I was watching it.
Yes, as if you follow our social media, you saw that lovely little thing. Cody does that to me all the time. He'll just start live tweeting me basically through Messenger.
Yes.
Whatever he's watching. Yeah. So it's just one of the perks of being friends with Cody.
If you want this message thread to happen to you, please reach out through the community group.
Cody can live tweet whatever he's watching to you.
Yep.
All right. What's your next one? Your next favorite fad?
Okay, so this is the rapid fire ones.
Oh, I thought you had one.
I have a big one.
Oh, you want to save that one for the end?
Yeah, because it might destroy friendships and households.
Okay, well, let me do one more, and then we can do the rapid fire ones.
Okay.
Gangsta rap is something I would consider a fad. In that, when I think gangsta rap, I think a specific style and specific geography, because it was definitely more of a West Coast thing. The East Coast kind of does mimic it after it, but it's definitely a time and place that starts with NWA, which I will not say what that stands for, but it's Eazy-E, Ice Cube, and Dr. Dre early on in their youngest of days.
I like to think New World angst.
And then, they go their separate ways. And then, of course, it's Death Row Records.
Yes. Now, I will say, from this area, there still is a modern take on it. And
Right.
Kendrick Lamar would probably be your champion of that. And he's from Compton. And he broadcasts. He's from Compton. And his pop-out concert last weekend or 2 weekends ago, crazy cool.
At some point, it gets a little less severe. In those
yes.
early days,
It was
very severe. A lot of violent talk. A lot of chauvinistic, should we say?
That's
talk.
one way to put it.
Women as objects. But if punk rock, it's a reaction though. Because if punk rock is a certain thing to rock, it was a reaction to rock and like pop rock. Then gangsta rap is that to regular rap. It was the answer to the bubblegum poppy rap that had been commercially big in the late 80s, like Hammer,
Run DMC.
DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, things like that. Though that was what was commercially successful. And so gangsta rap kind of comes out of that. And if you think of it like that, it is a reaction. But I wouldn't say I'm ashamed, because it hits me in a certain place in life. I mean, from the moment I heard the first few beats on Wit Dre Day, on his album The Chronic, that was like the one that put Death Row Records on the map. 16-year-old Dave was sold. And it played on my anger. It played on my aggression. It all just played so well to me back then. And I was hooked. I loved it all. Tupac, Snoop, Ice Cube, Warren G, and Nate Dogg, Regulators. Yeah, I loved it all. And I can look back at it now and as a nostalgic thing, but also that there was something about it too, that if you look at it, it plays on anger. And for whatever reason, it just took hold at that time of people. Well, in a time where I don't remember people, we're definitely angrier as a people now.
So I feel like every generation has like their teenage angst version of it, though.
Yeah, that's true. Because it definitely encouraged my worst feelings, but also gave me this weird kind of balm that only music can do sometimes. Mm-hmm. It allowed me to take out aggression without doing it in a way that hurt people.
Anthrax, Slipknot, Insane Clown Posse. And you can go back in the 60s and 70s, and there's singers that are like anti-war and all that jazz. And people are like, yes, they're rebels. I'm going to listen to them. And it's progressed as generations go on. But I think teenagers, you're trying to seek your independence. So there's going to be some anger and angst just because you're trying to break away from the family structure that you're in. And also it's what society props up and tries to sell to youth, that you got to be angry at the man, angry at the world, that you don't have anything. I think that it's logical for it to take place for you at that time.
It's weird because it really takes over a space in the national kind of zeitgeist. Mm-hmm. It gets wrapped up in politics, which this is going to blow your mind for people that are unaware. But it's actually Democrats that lead the charge against gangster rap. Tipper Gore,
Al Gore's wife.
Yeah, the wife of Al Gore, and I'm assuming this was because Democrats may have been the platform of feminism. And like I said, this style of music definitely had a chauvinistic thing about it. They talked about women as objects. And so Tipper Gore and the Democrats kind of lead the charge against gangster rap. They're having like committees and stuff, but it's all political. So it's not just a now thing. They did it back then to make political hay. And it's the conservatives who are strangely quiet about gangster rap.
I also wonder if it was the Democrats' way of trying to appease middle America, which isn't always very democratic. So
yeah, middle America had much bigger problem with songs like Ice-T's "Cop Killer."
Yes.
So he was very early on, back with NWA in that time. He was like one of the first kind of gangsta rappers. Ice-T. Now he's he's a TV star.
Now he's a TV cop.
Yeah. Which is all sorts of interesting, right?
It is.
Gangsta rap. I was into that. And I don't know what else to say to it, but I was really into it.
I know this about Dave.
Yeah. Okay. Quick hitters.
Okay.
Go for it.
Livestrong bracelets. Those were like all the rage. And I could never buy one because like I was a young kid that didn't have money. And then like they weren't sold in rural communities. You had to be like at a bigger sporting store to actually get one. And so by the time I'm able to, they're not a thing. But they were all the rage.
Side note, there's the 30 for 30 on Lance Armstrong's on Netflix. And I thought about watching it the other night.
So I partially blame Lance for me not getting one.
Yeah, by the time you could get one, he messed it up.
He did. Thanks a lot, Lance.
Great. Good job, Lance. You also messed it up with Sheryl Crow. What were you doing?
Wasting time and resources.
Bruh.
Starter jackets.
Oh, yeah.
I love starter jackets. I had two.
You had a Raiders one, didn't you?
No, I had a Chiefs one and a Bulls one.
A Bulls one? Nice.
Yes. I wish that I had a Charlotte Hornets one.
Oh,
because evidently I knew a ton of kids that had them. And it was weird that if you weren't a sports fan, somehow you ended up with the Charlotte Hornets one, and the colors just really pop.
Yeah, so Charlotte Hornets stuff, who'd they come into the league with? I want to say it was maybe the Miami Heat. So Charlotte Hornet and Miami, I think, come into the league at the same time. It's either Charlotte and Miami or Charlotte and Orlando Magic, maybe?
Magic's like 93.
Yeah, but Charlotte's colors, it was like purple and
like teal. teal.
Teal, yeah. It was really awesome. I had the grandmama shoes, Larry Johnson shoes, that were that color, and they were amazing. They fell apart real quick, though. Converse, come on.
It happens. Furbies.
I
I wasn't into it, but my sister had one, and it was the creepiest thing ever. I remember Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction had an episode where they positioned that the Furby was actually a listening device by the Russians.
It was always the Russians.
Fiction. Kids, it was fiction. And then one that I was into, but I preferred the knockoff, Beanie Babies.
You were a collector then?
So they made it big about the time I was in like second grade. And so my grandparents would buy them. But the knockoff ones, because I was into wrestling, they had WCW ones.
Oh, wow.
And so like the Wolfpack wrestlers, they were actually wolves.
Wow.
And so, but they had the same ring attire as the wrestlers.
That's amazing.
And so I definitely had Kevin Nash Wolfpack.
Yeah, they had the Kevin Nash Beanie Baby.
Yes.
Nobody wanted Scott Hall. He was just wearing those little bikini trunks.
Don't need it.
I was rewatching, side note, I was rewatching some 90s, late 90s WCW the other night. And my youngest daughter walks in. She's like, why are they wearing that? Like, why can't they wear clothes? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know why Scott Hall's walking around in bikini trunks.
I question it with every wrestler I see doing it still. So, okay, that was my quick hitters.
Okay. One I thought of while you were talking about one of them was my sister, my little stepsister at one time had a Teddy Ruxpin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Teddy Ruxpin was like the teddy bear that basically sang and spoke to you. Although what it was he had a little cassette player on the back. And I also remember when she got tired of that and her cassette player broke, she used her Teddy Ruxpin to blast New Kids on the Block. And yeah, so I remember Teddy Ruxpin. And Teddy Ruxpin was a big deal. That was one of those, if you didn't get it in October, you weren't getting it for your kids for Christmas, and everybody wanted one.
Yep.
Hypercolor T-shirts. Do you remember Hypercolor T-shirts?
I don't think I do.
Those were the T-shirts that like changed color with heat
Oh,
or like
yes.
the temperature. Mm-hmm. I chose to wear one because I thought it would be a good idea to use one as my gym shirt. It was not a good idea, as it would turn out. It was purple. Kids called me the grape ape that year. So yeah, that was a thing. For a while there, everyone had a big mouth Billy Bass.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I got multiples of them as a gift. I think people just thought I was the type of person who would appreciate Big Mouth Billy Bass. They weren't wrong. I did appreciate Big Mouth Billy.
They did have one that wasn't the bass, but was the gopher from Caddyshack.
Yeah, there were all sorts of variations that came
the
out.
gopher from Caddyshack made me LOL.
But if you had the original Big Mouth Billy Bass that sang "Don't Worry, Be Happy" by Bobby McFerrin, that was the OG. Queen Elizabeth is said to have displayed one on the grand piano at Balmoral Castle for quite some time. And finally, there was this weird period. I think it lasted a couple years while I was in high school. Hacky sack.
Oh my goodness. It's still a weird, weird college kids play it.
It was, but back then it was weird high school kids. It was a 70s thing first, but then it kind of makes this comeback in the early 90s. Basically, if you're not familiar with hacky sack, it's this little cloth pouch filled with beans or beads into the shape of a ball. And unathletic people would gather in a circle and try to keep it in the air without using your hands. It was ridiculous. I thought I was really good at it. I probably wasn't. I most definitely wasn't. It does inspire one of the great scenes in movie history, though, in She's All That.
Oh,
with
okay.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah,
where he's good. He's a hacky sack player, and he does the live poetry slam stuff. Don't let it drop, Zach. Don't let it drop.
and it's featured in the series Community. Mm-hmm. Where one of the boyfriends that isn't a part of the group, he is a professional hacky sack player, and he gets an offer to go to college get Scully
Professional hacky sack.
to play hacky sack at some college.
There were the dudes, man. The dudes that could catch it on their feet or like the back of their, where the neck meets the back on their, they could catch it and balance it. And they were doing all these crazy stuff. Yeah, I would just like knock over desks and stuff, running into them.
Okay. So are you ready for this?
All right. This is the moment. This is the most controversial take in pop culture pastor history. Somewhere here.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
I guess can one truly prepare themselves for this?
Probably not.
Am I going to be mad?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So I'm going to set this up. When I was a kid, everyone and their mom had like the Batman logo or the Superman logo, like on their car, had it tattooed on them. And this is without a lot of movies. There's only the Christopher Reeves Superman movies at this time. There's only a handful of Batman movies, and looking back, they're not that great.
But that checks out, by the way. Those logos were everywhere. You're right.
A lot of people, if you ask them, do you read comics? And if they weren't diehard comic book geeks, they would tell you Superman or Batman. And then you get like X-Men and Thor. I feel like X-Men and Thor was Marvel's.
In a lesser sense, people were getting tattoos like of the X symbol.
Yep.
Captain America shield, which back then, before the MCU, that was something.
So what I'm going to say is going to cause rampage and angst in the streets. I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a fad.
Anarchy! Anarchy! You know what? They're going to have to prove you wrong.
They are.
It very much could be lightning in a bottle. Granted, it lasted 10 years and 20-some movies.
So I'm going to point out all the people that finished the Infinity Saga and were like, okay, I'm done. I'm walking away. I don't want to do this anymore. I got other ambitions. And Marvel's like, we want to develop more stories and get different actors in there because you all are old. It's weird that rumors abound that they're getting offered all the cashola. And, oh, yeah, I jokingly said that like 5 years ago that I wouldn't come back. I want back in for this. Disney scrambling. And I think they see the writing on the walls that maybe superhero movies in general, I will say I probably shouldn't just say Marvel, but Marvel was the peak. Maybe they are not the billion-dollar blockbusters every time out the gate. It's going to be like super beloved IP because you can put out a bad Batman movie or a bad Superman movie and somehow people are going to still see it because it's like within the culture now that we have 100 years of both characters essentially, and they kind of are just ingrained. And I would say Captain and the X-Men and Thor are probably ingrained. Spider-Man, for a lot of people, yes. I was never a big Spidey guy, but I do enjoy the portrayals within Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Of Marvel's characters, he's probably the most ingrained in pop culture.
Yes. So much so, West Coast Choppers made a Spider-Man bike for Wyclef Jean.
Wyclef shout out. Wow.
Yeah,
I haven't heard that in a while.
I don't think the universe is over, but a lot of these fads, like you can still find them. You can still find the remakes, and they're just cashing in on people trying to relive their nostalgia. You can buy a Tamagotchi now, but it's not the one from 1996. It's updated. I think that it might be a fad, that time period where you have James Gunn helping kind of craft some of the Infinity Saga with Kevin Feige. You have the Russo brothers in the right place. You have all these names that weren't becoming huge yet and then explode onto the scene because of Marvel. You just had this lightning in the bottle moment.
Yeah, you could be right. Let me start off with my rebuttal by first saying you could be right. It could be a fad, it's complex because I don't think you can say the stories of good versus evil, that's not a fad.
That's not a fad.
Those are the stories we love, so I don't think it's dead.
And I will preface by saying I'm talking strictly the movies because comic books have been around and they're still going.
Although comic books have struggled.
They've struggled.
Many eras struggled as far as comic books go. I will say I think you argued against yourself with certain things you said there because you're cynical. Because you think they're coming back for cash grabs. Marvel, the part where Marvel and Disney are desperate, that's definitely true. But I don't necessarily think them going back to RDJ, Chris Hemsworth, trying to get the
Scarlett
Johansson, them trying to get them back. I think those are the characters we liked.
Those are the characters we liked, but do we like them 10 years removed? Because that's probably when we're getting them.
That is the question yet to be answered. Will they like them as much? I do think there's something to it to say, too. Like you said, there were people out there who watched the Infinity Saga and then, brushed their hands of it and said, oh, that was great. Now I'll move on. They never were the diehard comic book people like I was growing up. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm here for it. I want to see any of the comic book material you're gonna put out. But the vast majority of people aren't those people. They're the people who said, hey, you really hooked me with that Infinity Saga. But now that that's over, I don't know that I need to see, a Secret Invasion TV show. I don't know that I need to see Captain Marvel in a sequel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I also wonder, and this is my rebuttal to my statement, maybe it's just geek culture that's fading out. And
when geek culture became popular, there's a sense that this was inevitable. This end to geek culture being popular would be inevitable. Because now I think people that were just fringe, that were just enjoying it as fringe entertainment, now I think they tire of the discourse, which is toxic. Because all discourse is toxic in our culture. And so people like Star Wars is the perfect example. If I'm online, I can't declare that this Star Wars show is good or I liked it or this one's bad. Because if I say it's bad, then there's half the fandom, the toxic fandom, that says I'm a bigot. Or, if I like it, then there's half the toxic fandom that says I'm woke. So there's this weird discourse that I think probably turns a lot of people off the geek culture stuff. And maybe even real geeks.
I don't believe that geek culture is on its way out, but I do stick my hat on MCU's a fad.
TBD. To be determined, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I would also say I think James Gunn's DC Universe has a real chance to have success. I don't think it will be Infinity era level success of
Probably
the MCU.
not.
But I think part of what you said is true, that there was so much from the MCU, 20 plus movies, where it was a long time. It was 10 years of our lives. And those people that brushed their hands of it, Marvel didn't do anything wrong. They were just like, okay, that was good. Now I'm going to move on. I think people are hungry for a connected DC universe. We've always had good Batman movies or good Superman movies here and there.
Yeah.
What we haven't had is the connected universe. So I think there'll be a hunger for that.
The Snyderverse, it scratched it, but it was never really, it was rushed.
They did not take the time to set it up. So we'll see. I think James Gunn's got a chance, but maybe I could be wrong. People might just be a little burnt out of superhero stuff in general.
If the Superman movie flops, I will modify my statement to it's just superhero movies.
And that's fine. Y'all fringe fans, you can go away and leave it back to the comic book nerds. We'll be here with open arms waiting for it to come back to us.
With our Zubaz pants.
I will miss the big budget movies, though. It was cool to see them tell some of the stories of my youth, the Infinity Saga, on the big screen with the big budgets. Like young Dave, who was forced to watch the TV movie of The Incredible Hulk Goes to Trial with Thor and Daredevil. Young Dave, who watched those and thought that they were good, is going to miss the big budget ones if they do go away. But, I'm getting older. Maybe I just watch Against All Odds. Listen to some Phil Collins.
As one should.
All right. What fads were you guys into? Tell us on our social media posts for this episode. Was this the best pod episode ever?
TBD.
Someone much smarter will determine that for us. Tell us what you think about the fads. Tell us what you think about the game, the movie game. We're gonna iron out some kinks. We'll get there.
And just know who holds the record.
Yes. Didn't count, Cody. It's not official. We'll see you next time.
Pop Culture Pastor.